มหาอภิวาทะ
วิวาทะ
พุทธ
พุทธ
วจนะ
วจนะจ
จตุ
ตุรา
รา
สี
สี
ติ
ติธรรมขัน
ธรรมขัน
ธสหั
ธาสหัส
ส
สานิวี
มี
สติ
สติอ
อ
ริย
ริยมรรค
มรรคะมีส
วี
ติสา
สติ
มัญ
สา
ญ
มัญญ
าภละ
ละ
เอ
เอ
ก
กะนิพ
นิพ
พา
พา
นะ
นะคิปปา
ทิปา
ปิญญา
ปิญญาโด
โด
ย
ย
เฉียบ
เฉียบพ
พลัน
ลันในประ
ในประวั
วัติการ
ติการ
นี้เทิด
นี้เถิด
โย
โย
โว
โวอา
อา
นัน
นันทาม
ธรรม
ายา
ยาธรรมโม
โอจาวิ
จา
น
วิ
โย
นโยจา
จา
เท
เท
สิโต
สิโตปัญ
ปัญ
ญา
ญา
โต
โตโส
โส
โม
โวมามา
มามา
แต่เย
จะเย
นะ
นะ
สั
สัท
ทธา
ธา
โย
โยโวอา
อา
นัน
นันทามายา
ธรรมยา
ธรร
ธรรม
มโม
โม
จา
จาวิ
วิ
นโย
นโยจาเท
จะเท
โ
สิโต
ปั
ปัญ
ญญา
ญา
โต
โต
โส
โสโว
มา
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 จะ
จะ
เย
เย
นะ
นะ
สั
สั
ท
ท
ธา
ธา
โยโวอานั
อา
น
นัน
ทาม
ธรร
ยา
มยา
ตา
ธรรมโมจา
จา
วินโย
วินโยจาเท
จะเท
ติโต
สีโตปั
ปัญ
ญ
ญา
ญา
โต
โตโส
โส
โว
โวมา
มามา
จา
จะ
เย
เยนะ
นะ
สัท
สัท
ธา
ธา
พุทธวจนะจตุร
พุทธ
สี
ตุราสีติธรรม
ติ
ขันธ
ธรรมขัน
สหัส
ธาสหัสสา
สะ
นี้
คือ
คือปร
ปรมัต
มัตถะ
ถะอนุตต
อนุตตร
รสัม
สัม
มาสั
มา
มโพ
สัมโพ
ธิ
ธิ
ส
ส
มณะ
มณะโค
โคตมะ
ตมะ
ปัญ
ปัญญา
ญาธิกะ
ธิกะนะโม
นะโมตัสสะ
ตัสสะ
ภะ
ภะ
คะ
คะ
วะโต
วะโตอะ
อะ
ระ
ระ
หะโต
หะโตสัมมา
สัมมา
สัม
สัม
พุทธัสสะ
พุทธัสสะม
นะ
หาภิ
มหา
วา
พิวาทะปรมัตถะ
ปรมัตถา
ปร
นุตตร
มัตถะ
สัมมา
สัมโพ
สัมโพ
ธิ
ธิ
ปัญญา
ปัญญา
ธิกะ
ธิกะ
ทรง
ทรงบำ
เป็น
เพ็ญ
มหา
มหา
บารมี
ปารมี
ยี่สิบอ
20
สงไข
อสงไข
ย
ยกำไร
กำไรแส
แส
นกับ
นกับ
ทรง
ทรง
พ
พบ
บปร
ปรมัตถ
มัตถะ
าอ
อนุตตร
นุตตรสัม
สัม
มา
มา
สัมโพ
สัมโพ
ธิ
ธิห้าแสนหนึ่งหมื่น2028ปัญญาธิกะพุ
ที่
ทธะ
แก่พุทธะ
ด้วย
ด้วยเสีย
เสียงเก้า
งก้าว
นะโม
นะโมตัสสะ
ตัสสะ
ภะ
ภะคะ
คะวะ
วะโตอะ
โต
ระหะ
อะระหะโตสัม
สัม
มา
มา
สัมพุท
สัมพุท
ธัสสะ
ธัสสะมหา
มหา
ภิวา
ภิวา
ทะ
ทะ
ปร
ปร
มัต
มัต
ถะ
ถา
อนุตตร
อนุตตร
สัมมา
สัมมา
สัมโพ
สัมโพ
ธิ
ธิ
สัทธา
สัทธา
ธิกะ
ธิกะ
ทรง
ทรง
บำ
บำ
เพ็ญ
เพ็ญม
มหา
หาปา
บารมี
รมี
สี่
40อ
สิบอสงไข
สงไขย
ยกำไร
กำไรแส
แสนกับ
นกับ
ทรง
ทรง
พ
พ
บปร
บปร
มัตถะ
มัตถา
อนุตตร
อนุตตร
สัมมา
สัมมาสั
สัมโพ
มโพ
ธิ
ธิ
หนึ่ง
หนึ่ง
ล้าน
ล้านสอ
สองหมื่
งหมื่น
นสี่พัน
สี่พันห้า
ห้าสิบ
สิบห้า
ห้าสัทธา
สัท
ธิกะ
ธาธิกะ
พุท
พุท
ธะ
ธะ
ด้วย
ด้วย
เสียงกลาง
เสียงกา
นะโม
นะโม
ตัสสะ
ตัสสะภะ
นะ
คะ
คะ
วะโต
วะโต
อะ
อะ
ระ
ระ
หะโต
หะโต
สัมมา
สัมมาสั
สัมพุ
มพุทธัสสะ
ทธัสสะ
มหา
มหาป
วิวา
ภิวา
ทะ
ทะ
ปร
ปรมัต
มัตถะ
ถาอนุตตร
อนุตตร
สัม
สัมมา
มาสัมโพ
สัมโพ
ธิ
ธิวิ
วิ
ริยะ
ริยา
ธิกะ
ธิกะ
ทรง
ทรง
บำเพ็ญ
บำเพ็ญ
มหา
มหาปา
บารมี
รมี
แปดสิบ
80
อส
อสง
งไขย
ไขยกำไร
กำไร
แส
แส
นกับ
นกับทรง
ทรง
พบ
พบปร
ปรมัต
มัตถา
ถะอนุตตร
อนุตตร
สั
สัม
มมา
มา
สัมโพ
สัมโพ
ธิ
ธิ
สอง
2ล้าน
ล้าน
4หมื่นแป
สี่หมื่น
ดพัน
แปดพัน
หนึ่ง
หนึ่ง
ร้อยเก้า
ร้อยเก้าวิ
วิริ
ริยะธิ
ยาธิกะ
กะพุท
พุทธะ
ธะด้วย
ด้วย
เสียง
เสีย
กลาง
งก้าว
สาธุครับ
to everybody.
Hello, everybody. Today we are, before we begin the class, as always, I need to mention about the important note that Dhamma provided in this presentation is simple and not Kampira or profound. People must continuously Sikha Dhamma or else it will lead to Mahatapa Niraya or hell because it is Micchaทิฏฐิ, not following the Buddha's teaching. If any provided content contrast with Dhamma 84,000 Dhammakantaka, please refer to Dhamma 84,000 Dhammakantaka only. And today is 11th Kalapakhatsa Chetamassassa Mahaputtha Jayanti 2614 or June 21st Buddhist era 2568. โยโวอานันทมยาธัมโมจะวินโยจะเทสิโตปัญญัตโตโสโภมะมัจจเยนะสัทธา The phrase that we mentioned at the beginning of the class, it translates into English that Buddha Vachana 84,000 Dhammakantaka is Anuttara Samma Sampodhi. That's why we need to Sikhaya and that's why we join the class, Dhamma class every day. Okay. Next one, and as we are one of the four Buddha Parisai, four Buddha Parisai have the responsibility according as follows. The first one is the four Buddha Parisa must well understand the Tipitaka 84,000 Dhammakantaka. The second one is for Buddha Parisa must be able to correctly present 84,000 Dhammakantaka. And the third one is the for Buddha Parisa must be able to correct those who condemn or misunderstand the Tipitaka 84,000 Dhammakantaka.
Now please pay respect to our Tipitaka Dhammacariya Theravada Suchad Nakon and ท่าน อังคคุณอริยธรรมโสตปันนะสุปฏิปันโนสุปฏิปันโนสุปฏิปันโนสาธุสาธุสาธุนาวุติอุปาณิธิพันธะอนุโมทามิ
Okay, we begin the class. We go back to our previous class. We mentioned about the Dhamma Vinaya 84,000 Dhammakantaka as beginning of the class today, that we said that Yovo Ananta Maya Dhammo Ja Vinayo Ja Tesito Panyato Sovo Mamachayena Sattha Dhamma 84,000 Dhammakantaka is Anuttara Samma Sampoti. And now we are going into details. The last time we go into details about these. Today we are going through it again, but quickly. Then we can focus more on the later part of the slides of this presentation. And Dhamma 84,000 Dhammakantaka consisting of three main parts. However, during the period that Anuttara Samma Sampoti was alive, Dhamma Vinaya actually divided into two main parts. The first one is Vinaya 21,000 Dhammakantaka, and the second part is Dhamma 63,000 Dhammakantaka. However, later on, when Anuttara Samma Sampoti entered Nirvana, then Dhamma 63,000 Dhammakantaka divided into two parts. The first one is Suttanta, 21,000 Dhammakantaka, and the second one is Abhidhamma, 42,000 Dhammakantaka, and becomes Tipitaka as we know, as we familiar with. Next one. And now we focus on Dhamma. Whenever we hear the word Dhamma, we might familiar with the translation of Dhamma into common or into nature. But actually that one is the translation, is not the teaching of Anuttara Samma Sampoti. According to the previous chart, according to this chart, you see that whenever we mention about Dhamma, we focus on this part. Dhamma 63,000 Dhammakantaka, which consisting of Suttanta 21,000 Dhammakantaka and Abhidhamma 42,000 Dhammakantaka. And within Suttanta 21,000 Dhammakantaka and Abhidhamma 42,000 Dhammakantaka, each of them has a little bit more details. So the world that we are living in here, comparing to Suttanta, starting from our body. From our body, our body cannot survive or cannot grow without the environment or the food or the place that we need to stay. For example, like this model, like this example that we show in our previous chart, that our body, we need to absorb nutrients for us to survive and to grow. In that case, we need our body to function properly. It can divide into 7 parts: your mouth, your esophagus, stomach, liver, small intestine, large intestine, blood, something like this, to work on the nutrient, to absorb nutrient and to transport nutrient across your body. In this case, your body needs this kind of function. And moreover, each part of your body needs specific nutrients. That's why you need to eat food. For example, like here, you need green vegetable, beans, salmon, and then your eyes, it might need corn, eggs, carrots. Your heart, tomato, potatoes, and prune juice. Your bone, you might need orange, celery or milk, skin, blueberries, salmon, green tea, lung, broccoli, Brussels sprout, cabbage, mussel, bananas, red meat, fish, eggs, and brain, salmon, tuna, sardine, walnuts. This is an example of the food that you eat, and then those nutrients will be absorbed and transported across your body to your specific organs that need these kind of nutrients. So and until this time, you're talking about Suttanta. We starting from our body, right? When we starting our body, we think more than that because our body to grow our body need nutrients, and to survive we also need nutrients, otherwise our body cannot grow and we cannot survive them. That's why when we talk about Suntanta, we talk about our body, and then not only our body need to grow and need to survive. That's why we need food. When we need food, we need specific kind of food for specific nutrients for specific organs, like this example. And then we have to think more than that. If we talk about salmons, tuna, sardine, walnut, it stays in the ocean, right? This is tuna. Sardine, they stay in ocean, and the ocean, it needs water, it needs reef, coral reef, it needs continents, it needs many ocean, many water body across the earth. And then not only that, it also need atmosphere, earth atmosphere. In order to grow those walnuts, you need water, you need rain. In order to have rain and in order for tree to grow, walnut plants to grow, they need water. And water comes from evaporation. For evaporation, you need sun, and then it need atmosphere. So those evaporation water can form into cloud and then precipitation. And you need ground or soil for walnut plants to grow on it, and also need fertilization. You need animals, small animals to become nutrients of the tree, right? Then we go back, and then not only that, when we need water, when we need precipitation, when we need atmosphere, we also need earth, and earth cannot stay alone in the system. We need solar system. And when we need solar system cannot stay on its own. It needs Milky Way, it needs galaxy. And one galaxy cannot stay on its own. It needs multiple galaxies. So this what we try to explain you until now, we try to explain the coverage of Suttanta. Starting from yourself, then for example, like digestion system, to keep your body growing and to survive, you need food, you need specific nutrients, and those specific nutrients need place to grow, need place to stay, need the correct atmosphere and temperatures for them to survive also, and then they become your food. This is example the coverage of Suttanta. And you see, when we talking about the coverage of Suttanta, we start from ourselves and then into the environment and into Earth, into solar system, into Milky Way, and to galaxies and multiple galaxies. That those coverage are staying in Suttanta, 21,000 Tamakantaka.
กัน for the environment and ourselves, which one is born before?
Okay, this one is a good question, Pipping. For the detail, which one comes first? You can for this question, which one come first? In order, you can see that when we talking about Sutanta, we're talking about ourselves first, and then we need the environment for ourselves to grow and then to survive. Then when they build, they need to build our body first. However, our body, by building our body itself without integration, without coordination, with the same time building the environment, we cannot survive because if you separately build each part apart, not cooperate at the beginning, then you might encounter the problem that your body might not be your body might be incompatible with the environment. The food that available in the world might not compatible with your body, or your body might not compatible with the weather and the environment on the earth. So in order to make sure that your body and your environment or your food and nutrients are compatible, in that case, your body need to be built first, and then coordinate cooperation with then build the environment that keep your body grow and survive. In this case, if you look a little bit into details, you see that there is not only human on this planet, but also animals. And those animals, while building those animals, also have to starting from building animals and then the environment and the food and the trees and their food need to be compatible with those animals also. However, when in this case we starting to picturize that in order to build this world, this universe, the multiple galaxies, we need to focus on the living creatures first. And by focus on living creatures, the main influence of the building everything that we use today, the major one comes from Mahapodhisatta, and then um, Savaputta, sorry, Puttha Savak,
พุทธสาวกะ
Buddha Savaka, and then Arya Savaka, and then later on us be later on not have that high influence, and then us and then animals, then we have the same influence that make the environment and the food available on this planet, and our body or animals' body need to be compatible with those food or those environment. So in short, to answer Piping's question, we need to build our body first and then the environment. But while they are building this kind of system, they are not building on this world. They build it before we born as a human. Otherwise, it is impossible for us to compatible with the environment or the food or the nutrients on this planet if we are not built in the same time in the past and then before we born as a human.
But for normal human thinking, we think that for the environment have to be create first, and then we can survive. And when we born, we can survive after all the environments created. Why Dhamma said that it is opposite in normal human thinking?
Okay, this one is good question, Piping, because normal people like us, we decide and we assume our cause and results by using our five senses. We use our eyes, our ears, our nose, our tongue. If we use those five senses and we have only five tools that science tell us. So when we decide by using our eyes, ear, nose, tongue, we will see that before we born, we see the earth has already in place, and the tree has already be ready for us. So by judging by using your eyes, you you must assume that the Earth or the galaxies or the solar system occur before human.
yes
In this case, you judge by using your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, your five senses. However, uh, according to the teaching of Anantara Samma Sambuddhi, this one go beyond your five senses. Go beyond your five senses. Dhamma explain how your five senses and how your body is created, and not only how your body created, as I mentioned before. If if created on only your body, not created environment that you need to stay or the food that you need to eat, in that case, it might be incompatible when when your body is incompatible with the food available and the environment that available. In that case, you cannot survive. And if you cannot survive, you cannot find the teaching of Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi. That's why when we go Sikkaya, we go beyond our five senses. When we go beyond five senses, Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi will explain to us that before we born as a human, we start from Kammacitta. And from Kammacitta, it create Rupa Samudana that consisting of Kamma Shupa, Chitta Shupa, Utu Shupa, and Ahara Shupa. And those kind of Rupa form our body, our environment, and things that we need in order for us to survive. And then by those Rupa Samudana, it turns into our environment and our body, and it's into solar system and to galaxies and into galaxies. And then those things that we are saying those things that we are saying in today, it categorized in Suttanta at 21,000 Dhammakantaka. We need to start somewhere in Dhamma in order to go back, because when we are going to Sikkaya or to understand Dhamma, we need to base our explanation on Citta, Cetasika, and Rupa. That's why we need to map our existence here and then our environment into somewhere in the chart of Dhamma. That's why I'm trying to first we try to map our body and our environment and our food into Dhamma chart. In this case, we map it into Suttanta part. And when we map it into Suttanta part, the explanation of what happened in Suttanta need to be based on Citta, Cetasika, and Rupa. In this case, you see that the relationship of the chart, according to the relationship of the chart, Dhamma 63,000 Dhammakantaka, consisting of Suttanta and Abhidhamma. In this case, we map ourselves and our environment and our food that we need to eat into Suttanta part. And in order to go to the part that contains Citta, Cetasika, and Rupa, in this case, we need to go from Suttanta to Dhamma, and then from Dhamma to Abhidhamma. Abhidhamma divided into two main parts. First one is Panyati Dhamma, and the second one is Paramattha Dhamma. And within Paramattha Dhamma, it contains Citta 121, Cetasika 52, and Rupa 28. This is the place that we base on every explanation in Dhamma. Others Dhammacharya will explain about the details of the interaction of Citta, Cetasika, and Rupa, and how they perform and how they create other Rupa, how they interact with each other, and how they form like Rupa Samudana or form in Akusala Sanghahana, in something like that is formed by the interaction of Citta, Cetasika, and Rupa, and those stay within Paramattha Dhamma. And our body stay here in Suttanta. Suttanta go through Dhamma, through Abhidhamma, and then from Abhidhamma go to Panyati Dhamma. In Panyati Dhamma, it contains Atta Panyati and Satta Panyati. From here, it return back to Abhidhamma and then go through Paramattha Dhamma, and then to reach Citta 121, Cetasika 52, Rupa 28. That's where we based on our explanation in here. So your body need to go through Dhamma and then to Abhidhamma to Panyati, to Abhidhamma to Paramatta Dhamma, and then go to the base that we try to explain, or Dhammacharya. Others Dhammacharya explain the interaction of those Chitta and Cetasika, and also many products of their interaction to you. They lies in here in Paramatta Dhamma. So in this chart, we are trying to show where we are and where we base our explanation about Dhamma Vinaya on. Where are they? And the difference is for normal people, for us, we decide things by use our five senses. That's for example, like the question that people ask, our body or our environment, which one comes first? If you decided by using our five senses, which is very normal, we have only our five senses, we can use only our five senses. We decide by using our eyes, definitely. We would say that the earth come first and then people come later on. That's decided by using our five senses. But by the enlightenment of Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi, this one go beyond that. That's why the explanation of Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi is completely different from us who using our five senses, use our eyes, our ears, our nose, our tongue. Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi said that our body need to come first, and then when our body build our body first, and then need to build the environment and the food that compatible with our body, and then when we going to born as a human, they need to build the galaxy first, and then solar system, and then Earth. However, those come first by using your eyes. However, when you go back to the details that Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi explanation in the interaction of Citta, Cetasika, and Rupa, you see that your body your body is created first, and then the environmental later on. However, when these Rupa Samudana come into action, when it expands itself into level zero, into the world that we are living in, by using your eyes or our eyes, we see that the galaxies comes first, and then solar system, and then Earth, something like that, which is quite contradict, right? So as we mentioned at the beginning of the class, Dhamma is very profound, and you cannot stop that. You cannot stop at specific point. So you need to continuously Sikkaya, and the picture and the details of Dhamma Vinaya will be changed accordingly. When you Sikha more, you understanding more profound than this.
Okay, can I add something like this? Because of we are born of as human, so our environment is the earth, and the house we have father, mother. But when we born as a worm or as a mosquito, the the mosquito house is not like us, like our house as human. Is it only the hole or only the table or something like that? So when we born in this life, we have create for our body for our next life, and we after we create that, we are mosquito in next life. Then we after we born, we create the house for our life, ourselves, like that. It's more clearer, right?
Yes, but for people, we decided by using our five senses.
Yep.
Build our house, then we assume that we own the house,
Yep.
right? We
Yep.
have the right over the house, so we assume that others that staying with the house in the house with us is not belongs to them. It's not their house or their, which is according to your five senses, and according to the laws that people setting things up like that it could be correct. However, with the teaching of Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi is quite incorrect one. But within the teaching of Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi, laws is irrelevant. So by the laws is irrelevant, it means that when you build a house, it not the house is not only the house to you, but also for the mouses that stay in the house, for the cockroach, for the bird, for the you might have pets. It might be belongs to a dog, to the cat, because those animals, those living creatures using the house as the place to stay, as same as us. However, they are not have the rights to own according to the laws, but actually they staying with us. So even our body, we assume that our body is ours. However, how can you be sure that your body is yours? Because your body is also food for the bacteria, for the small insects, and also you might have worms within yourself, and then your body when you assume that your body is yours, it might be home to other parasite and also be food for parasites also, right? For if you think it into more details, you see the teaching of Anuttara Samma Sambuddha is quite profound and perplexed. You'll be perplexed by the teaching of Anuttara Samma Sambuddha. How Anuttara Samma Sambuddha knows everything like that. We might we might never go into that detail. We skip it. However, when we go back and look into more details, you'll see you'll be more perplexed and about the teaching of the Dharma Sambuddhi. That's why we insist that you should look at everything into the detail. Sorry.
สาธุ
Okay. Sadhu have next one.
Yep.
Okay, we go quickly because we would like to show you this one. Okay, Sutanta is the results of Abhidhamma. That's why until now I assume that everyone knows this. However, even though Sutanta is the results of Abhidhamma, then which part, if we would like to explain Sutanta, that we spend our time trying to explain about scope of Sutanta in mapping into our world and our daily activities. What kind of what is the coverage of Sutanta? Until now, I believe that you are able to picturize the scope of Sutanta. However, Sutanta is the result of Abhidhamma. In this case, which part of Abhidhamma is Sutanta? Which is, and then it calls Vipaka-citta. Sutanta that we try to explain until now, explain the scope of Sutanta, how the coverage of Sutanta, and those coverage. If we explain Sutanta is the result of Abhidhamma, and if we explain Sutanta into the Abhidhamma form, it will be replaced by Vipaka-citta. So Sutanta that we explained until now is a part. They are called Vipaka-citta, part which in Citta or in Paramattha or Abhidhamma. Then I assume that all of you are able to recite Citta 121, and these are places of Vipaka-citta states. Kusala Vipaka-citta 7, Hetuka Kusala Vipaka-citta 8, Maha Mahakusala Vipaka-citta 8, Rupa Vajra Maha Vipaka-citta 8, Arupa Vajra Maha Vipaka-citta 4. These are Vipaka-citta. And now we are trying to focus the later part that last class, we skip it quickly, very quickly. So until now, we try to explain the scope and the coverage of Suttanta and the relationship between Suttanta, Dhamma, Abhidhamma, and where when we explain Dhamma Vinaya, we need to based on the interaction or based on Citta 121, Cetasika 52, and Rupa 28. In that case, Suttanta when we explain within Abhidhamma, which contains Citta, Cetasika, and Rupa, Sutanta is called Vipaka Citta. And those Vipaka Citta we show you here within Citta 121. These are Vipaka Citta or Sutanta, or the world that we are living in, and the universe and galaxies and multiple galaxies. Those are covered in Sutanta. And Sutanta, when we talk by the cause that create the result, which is Sutanta, those causes come from Vipaka Citta. And now we go back how we become a human. According to the question that we being asked at the beginning of the class, which one come first? The earth, the environment, or us? As we answer roughly at the beginning of the class, if you use your five senses, we definitely will answer that the earth need to come first. Otherwise, how can we be born as a human without birth? Without earth, we cannot born as a human, right? That is decided by your seeing, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue. Definitely. Within ourselves or us, we'll have the same conclusion. If we are not Sikaya, we have the same conclusion that definitely the world needs to be built first. Otherwise, how can we become human on empty spaces? However, now we are going to details with how Anuttara Sama Sambuddha explained how we will become a human. If Anuttara Sama Sambuddha said that we need to build ourselves first and then build the environment, how Citta and Cetasika works and how things are created, and then the result, how the results come out as we see today. Okay. We start from Citta and Cetasika and Rupa, as we always said that by explanation about Sikaya, we based everything on Citta, Cetasika, and Rupa. That's why we show the relationship between our body, our environment, with the place, or with Citta and Cetasika. At the beginning of the class, we spend a lot of time there because we need you to be able to picturize that when we explain everything that happened within this world, everything that happened in our daily activities, we need to base them on Citta and Cetasika, and the relationship between your activities, your place you stay, the place, the things that you need to interact with, and the relationship of them with Citta and Cetasika, how to reach them from this place into Citta and Cetasika, and then we explain the details of the interaction of Citta and Cetasika. And now we are going back. We are showing you from the interaction of Citta and Cetasika, and then back to Sutanta, or born as a human. That's why we come up with this question. We go back. Now we go back from Citta and Cetasika, and we're trying to go back to Sutanta and how they create yourself and the environment. So start from Citta 121. Okay. In this chart, we will show that with for Citta 121, the Citta that stays in the place that building your body and the environment is not all of 121. Only Citta that should stay in Shavana Citta that have the roles that related to building your body. And Citta in Shavana Citta divided into main parts. The first one is Kama Shavana Citta 29, and the second part is Apana Shavana Citta 58. Kam Shavana Citta 29 consisting of Akusala Citta 12, Ahetuka Citta only Hasirupata Citta 1, and Gamma Vajra Mahakusala Citta 8. This altogether 29 is called Gam Shavana Citta. And the second part is Apana Shavana Citta, contains of Arupa Vajra Mahakusala Citta 5, Arupa Vajra Mahakusala Citta 4. And then, sorry, it's not completed.
โลกุตระ
Lokutra Citta, no, not
ไม่
Lokutra. It's, sorry, okay.
กริยา
This one.
กริยา
Um, Okay. Arupa Vajra Mahagriya Chitta 5, Arupa Vajra Mahagriya Chitta 4, and Lokuttara Chitta
40.
40, consisting of Lokuttara Makha Chitta 20 and Lokuttara Phala Chitta 20, altogether 58. So the slide need to be correct later on. Okay.
Okay.
Then not all of them that create kamma or create our body. There are only 29 out of those chitta that stay in Chavana chitta. Only 29 of them create kamma or create ourselves in 31 bhumi. For kama vajra chitta, Chavana chitta 29, only 20 out of 29 that becomes kama chitta. They are akusala chitta 12 and Kama Vajra Mahakusala Chitta 8.
ม
Only
หากริยาด้วย
Mahakusala Chitta 8. For Kama
กริ
Chitta
ยา
29. No, Mahagriya Chitta is not included in
in
Kama Chitta.
include ดิ
Not included. Not
ไม่
in
include มันก็หายดิ
no.
อ๋อ
Another
okay yes
part is Rupa
okay
Vajra Mahakusala
sorry
Chitta 5 and become
อืม
Rupa Vajra Mahakama Chitta 5 and
okay
Rupa Vajra Maha Kusala Kama Chitta 4.
อื
These
ม
altogether Kama
อื
Chitta
อฮึ
29 that create Kam in 31 Bhumi. Then when you create those kamma, it sends to Patisanti Pavankha Juti Chitta 19 to leads you to born in 31 Bhumi. Depends on which Patisanti Pavankha and Juti Chitta. In case of becomes animals, only akusala vipaka citta 1 leads to vaya bhumi 4. To become human, ahetuka akusala vipaka citta 1 leads to manusa bhumi 1 and teva bhumi 1, which is chatu maharashika bhumi. And then teva bhumi 5 will lead by kamavajra mahavipaka citta 8, except chatu maharashika bhumi, which leads by ahetuka akusala vipaka citta. And then Rupa Vajra Mahavipaka Citta 5, this one leads to Brahma Bhumi 16, and Arupa Vajra Mahavipaka Citta 4 leads to Arupa Vajra Mahabhumi 4. This is how Citta interact and help you and leads you to born in each Bhumi. And before that, we need to discuss about how Rupa works. Rupa start with Mahabhuta Rupa 4. And Mahabhuta Rupa 4 have only 4. However, when Mahabhuta Rupa is going to become to create our body, it need to interact with Chitta and Cetasika, create Rupa. And then when we are going to born, then Mahabhuta Rupa need to divide it into more details, like Patwi Mahabhuta Rupa from Patwi Mahabhuta Rupa 1.
have 20
becomes instead of 1 become 20. For example, like this one. Patvi Mahabhuta 1 become Kesa Lomana Khatanta Tacho Mangsang Naharu Ati Min Chang Wakang Hatayang Yakanang Kilomakang Pihakang Papasang Antang Antakunang Utriyang Kori Sang Matake Matulungkang. When Apo Mahabhuta 1 going to create us, Mahabhuta 1 becomes 12. So consisting of Pittang Semhang Pupolo Hitang Seto Meto Asuwa Sakelo Sinkanika Sika Muttang, for example, like this. And also Techo Mahaputrupa 4. Techo Mahaputrupa 1 become Techo Mahaputrupa 4. Vayu Mahaputrupa 1 become Vayu Mahaputrupa 4. And altogether we call it Akararupa 42. And these Akararupa 42 create Upadhyaya Rupa 24. And with Mahabhuta Rupa 4 and Upadhyaya Rupa 24 becomes Rupa 28 that we are familiar with. So until now, you see that at the beginnings, Rupa have Mahabhuta 4. However, when we are going to born, it need to create components that form into our body, our environment, and things that and Rupa that we need. So Mahabhuta 4, each of them create expand into Patavi Mahaputru instead of one, expand into Patavi Mahaputru by 20, Apo Mahaputru by 1 into Mahaputru, Apo Mahaputru by 12, Desho Mahaputru by 1 into Desho Mahaputru by 4, Vayo Mahaputru by 1 into Vayo Mahaputru by 4. Altogether, Agara Rupa 42, and then become Upadhyaya Rupa 24, altogether Rupa 28. At this moment, we have the base, we have Rupa, altogether Rupa 28. From Rupa 28, before this chart, we're talking about Kammacitta. And Kammacitta that create Rupa, there are 20 citta of Kammacitta that create Rupa. And those Kammacitta create Kam. And whenever Kam happen, Kam will be the consequence of the emergence of the Kam. And in this case, altogether, on the previous slide, we said that we have Rupa 28 altogether, right? When 18 of Rupa become Kamma, and the consequence of emergence of Kamma, then the consequence is Akammacha Rupa. That's why Rupa, altogether we have 28. Only 18 out of 28 become Kam. Then the consequences of the emergence of Kam, then the rest of Rupa will be Akammasrupa. That's why 28 minus 18 becomes 10. And Akammasrupa 10 will, Akammasrupa are 10 of Rupa. And the main characteristics of Kammasrupa and Akammasrupa is, for Kammasrupa is created from the past and it do nothing anymore. It becomes based for Akammasrupa to interact with them. So, and for the main characteristics of Akammasrupa 10, they create from the past because the consequence of the emergence of the Kam, then Akammasrupa 18, then Akammasrupa 10 happen. And Akammasrupa 10 will be used in present. And Akammasrupa 10 will interact with the base from Kammasrupa 18 to create the future Kamma that will make our cyclic existence is endless one. It continuously create like this. So for Kammasrupa 18, they become base. They come from the past, they do nothing, they perform as the base for interaction with Akammasrupa 10. Akammasrupa also come from the past. However, Akammasrupa will be used in your present. And then whenever they Akammasrupa active, then they go back to interact with the Kammasrupa 18, which are the base of interaction. And then they create come for your future life. And this is how the cyclic existence happen in short. So for Kammasrupa 18, it divided into two main parts. The first one is Anekanta or artificial Kammasrupa, and the second part is Ekanta or genuine Kammasrupa. For Ekanta or genuine Kammasrupa, this part only appears in Kammasrupa. For Anekanta or artificial one, this exists in within other parts of Rupa Samutthana, or this part interact with Kammasrupa 10. And when Anekanta or artificial Kammasrupa interact with Kammasrupa 10, it divided into it interact differently into three main groups. The first one is Chitta Shrupa 15, the second one is Uttusharupa 13, and the last one is Ahara Shrupa 12. The difference is not on the part of Anekanta or artificial Kammasrupa, but the different part is in the part of Akamashrupa. The different number of Akamashrupa interact differently within each group. That's why the total number of rupa in each group is different. The difference of the number is not because of the artificial Kamashrupa or Anekanta, but comes from different number of Akamashrupa. In this case, Chitta Shrupa 15 contains 6 out of 10 of Agama Shrupa. It contains Sattva Rupa 1, Vinyati Rupa 2, Vika Rupa 3. And for Uddhacca Rupa 13, it contains only Sattva Rupa 1 and Vika Rupa 3. And for Ahara Shrupa 12, it contains only Vikara Rupa 3. That's why the total number of each group are different. And altogether, until now, you will, sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, now, until now, we have Rupa Samuttatthana, which contains 4 main groups, altogether 4 main groups, Kamashrupa 18, Chitta Shrupa 15, Uddhacca Shrupa 13, and Ahara Shrupa 12. And these are ready to build our body and the environment and the galaxies and universe, as we mentioned in the scope of Sutantai, the coverage of Sutantai at the beginning. And each part of them contains citta. Citta needs place to stay. In this case, we are talking about in case of human. In case of human, we're talking about the realm or bhumi that contains rupa. Therefore, citta that cannot stay with rupa or omit or disappear from total number of citta that have place to stay with rupa system. In this case, the citta that disappear are four out of 121 citta. Those 4 citta are arupa, vajra, mahavipaka citta, 4. Therefore, 121 minus 4, we have citta 117 that stays with rupa system. In this case, as I mentioned, that each of citta need place to stay. For those 117 citta, they are stay accordingly. For Chakku Vijnana Citta 2 stays with Chakku Vattu at Chakku Pasatha Rupa. Sota Vijnana Citta 2 stay with Sota Vattu in Sota Pasatha Rupa. Khana Vijnana Citta 2 stay with stay in Khana Vattu that stay with Khana Pasatha Rupa. Shivha Vijnana Citta 2 stay in Shivha Vattu that stay with Shivha Pasatha Rupa. And Gaya Vijnana Citta 2 stay in Gaya Vattu that stay with Gaya Pasatha Rupa. Those are in this one. Pasatha Rupa are Pasatha Rupa 5 that categorized as genuine Kamashrupa or Ekanta. And the last one, the major part, is Hataya Rupa 1. Hataya Rupa 1 have citta altogether 107 citta stays together. However, 107 divided into 2 parts. The first part is the citta that stays within Hataya Vattu. That contains 70 citta. Here, they stays in Hataya Vattu. And then the one that stay with Hataya Vattu, not in, with. There are 37 citta that stay with Hataya Vattu. I believe that many Dhammacarya has already mentioned about this, but I need to emphasize this one first, this one a little bit more. I mentioned the Chakku Vinyan, Sota Vinyan, Khana Vinyan, Shivha Vinyan, Kaya Vinyan. These 5 that's 5 group, or altogether 10, we call 3 Panchavinyan 10. They stays within those Vattu. In Vattu, not with. And also for Hataya Vattu is the same things. Hataya Vattu divided into main parts. The first one is Citta 70. They stays in Hataya Vattu, not with. Only 37 Citta that stays with Hataya Vattu. So altogether, citta that stays with Vattu, 66 Vattu. citta that stays with Wattu. There are only 37 citta that stay with Wattu. All others, the rest, stay in Wattu, not with Wattu. This later on will be the basis of the more explanation of how your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue receive the information, and how each citta send information to each part of what to. But we will explain into details later on. So until now, we explained about the relationship between level 0, or we call it Sutanta at this class. In this class, we show you the relationship of Dhamma, Sutanta, Abhidhamma, Banyati Dhamma, and Pramata Dhamma, to show where our body or level 0 lies within Dhamma chart, and then about level 100 that contain citta, cetasika, and rupa, and level 100 stays within Paramattha Dhamma, right? So this chart show the details of level 0 until level 100. This one you need to merge these two charts together, and the chart that we mentioned at the beginning of the class, we show the relationship between the world that we are living in, or comparing to this chart as level 0, and the place of Citta and Cetasika and Rupa stays within Dhamma chart. In this case, at level 100, you need to merge those two charts together in you try to picturize yourself within your mind. Then you see the merge of these two charts that we try to explain today. How to travel from level 0 into level 100, and in between, what happened in level 99, that the emergence of Rupa Samutthana. And then when they are creating your body, we until now explanation of interaction of citta and cetasika, and the emergence and the happen of kam and kamma sutthana that contains kam, chit, utu, ahan, right? For example, like this. Yeah, here. At level 99, create gum and a gum. And once gum and a gum happen, and then it becomes rupa samutthana. Rupa samutthana expand itself until level 0. However, in between, what happened? In between things that happened is here. At the moment, when we start from Rupa Samutthana, if you be able to remember, you see that for Jakku, they at Rupa Samutthana level, for Jakku, you have only one Rupa, which is Jakku Pasata Rupa. And for Shursota, only one Rupa, which is Sota Pasata Rupa. And only one for your Khana is Khana Pasata Rupa. And for Shilha, is only one Rupa, is Shilha Pasata Rupa. And for your Kaya is only one, which is Kaya Pasata Rupa. And you see, at the level of Rupa Samutthana, the representative of your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue are only one of each, which is Jakku Pasarupa for your eyes, Sota Pasarupa for your ears, Khana Pasarupa for your nose, Shilha Pasarupa for your tongue, and Kaya Pasarupa for your body. One Rupa represent each of your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body, right? If that is the case, it will be quite relief for us, because citta that stays with those parts only contain Jakku Vijnana Citta 2, Sota Vijnana Citta 2, Khana Vijnana Citta 2, Shilha Vijnana Citta 2, and Kaya Vijnana Citta 2. And those citta contains only 7 cetasika, and those 7 cetasika doesn't contain Vitaka cetasika. Therefore, it cannot lead you to Abhaya Bhumi, and at the same time, it cannot lead you to Lokuttara. However, the fact is not that way. The fact is that there is something happen along the way when it's expand from level 99 to level 0. What happened along the way, apart from only Rupa Samutthana that you know, from that point, your Jakku, instead of instead of Jakku Rupa, Jakku Pasata Rupa 1, it expand itself into Jakku 54. Not only one. at this moment, at this level, it's expand itself from Jakku Pasarupa 1 into Jakku 54. This some intriguing things happen. When it becomes Jakku 54, it contains 6 groups that build your eyes. Your eyes now, the represent it. Your eyes is represent Jakku 54, not Jakku Pasarupa 1 anymore. In this case, what happened? The first they have Jakku Tasaka Kalapa 10, Kaya Tasaka Kalapa 10, Bhava Tasaka Kalapa 10, Chitta Sutaka Kalapa 8, Utu Sutaka Kalapa 8, and Ahara Sutaka Kalapa 8. Altogether within these 6 groups, those are all of them are rupa. However, there are one special group that represent represent chitta. They are rupa, but they represent the characteristics of chitta. And that one is the group that contains the name of chitta. This one. Chitta Suttataka Kalapa 8. You see, there are 8 rupa. They are rupa, but they contain the characteristics of chitta. And these rupa, which contain characteristics of chitta, they are the representative of chitta 107. They are not representative of only 10, only three Panchavinyan 10, but they are representative of Chitta 107. And the things quite interesting start here. Your eyes. If your eyes is Rupa, Jakku Pasat Rupa 1, you are quite relieved. You cannot go to create a kusala or kusala with your eyes. That's quite relief. But at this moment, your eyes is not Jakku Pasat Rupa 1. It's Jakku 54. And one of the group that help to create Jakku 54 contains contains the characteristics of Chitta 107. And within 107, they have a Chitta that leads you to a Bhayabhumi 4. And in the same time, it has Chitta that leads you to Lokuttara also. So at this moment, you see that your eyes is not the only eyes anymore. It is the gateway to Kusala and to Lokuttara. It have Chitta 107 working with them. It's not Tripanjaya Vinyan 10 or not Jakku Vinyan Chitta 2 anymore. So that's why your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body, when your body interact with environment, there are the work of Kaya Tasaka Kalapa 10, Bhava Tasaka Kalapa 10, Chitta Sutaka Kalapa 8, Utu Sutaka Kalapa 8, and Ahara Sutaka Kalapa 8. They also have Chitta 107 with them. When you feel cold, when you feel hot, when you feel uncomfortable, when you sweat, when you feel something that happened with your body, then those interaction on those aramana sent through Tawara and can come in and interact with those representative of Chitta 107. And that's why your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body, instead of doing nothing, they are leading you to Abhayabhumi 4 mainly because when you know nothing about the teaching of the Samma Sampoti, Chitta Suttataka Kalapa 8, which is part of your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body, they will receive the information and send through Akusala and send to the characteristics of Akusala Chitta 12. I speak in the big picture, not in going into specific, and then it send the information to Kammachitta. And Kammachitta, as you remember, Kammachitta contain for the one that create Rupa, there are Kammachitta 25, and within Abhayabhumi 4, only Akusala Chitta 12 that works as Kammachitta. That's why they by feeling hot and cold, or you see things in the world, in your daily life, and hear people talking about hear the environment, hear the sound, hear the music, that leads you to Bhayabhumi 4 because each of the components of your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue contain Chitta Sutaka Kalapa 8, and this part are the representative of Citta 107, and within Citta 107 contains Akusala Citta 12. That's why by using your body in your daily life will lead you to Abaya Bhumi 4. Without Sikkaya, without the teaching of Nuttara Samma Sambuddhi, no one can protect you from the work of these Citta Suttaka Kalapa 8, which is the representative of Citta 107. However, mostly we don't know, we don't Sikkaya, therefore only 12 of 107 works. The part that leads to Lokuttara won't work when we don't Sikkaya. That's why we need Sikkaya in order to not going to Abaya Bhumi 4. And you see that when people talking with when people talking to you politely, if they complain to you or if they talk to you politely, it doesn't matter if those voice or those word or those conversation doesn't contain the teaching of Nuttara Samma Sambuddhi Citta Sutta Kakalapa 8, which is part of your ears, will send the information to the representative of Akusala Citta 12, and then leads to create your Abaya Bhumi 4. As simple as that. Okay, so when we talking about Abhidhamma, and then Abhidhamma create Suttanta, and then when create Suttanta, when become our body, or another name, which is Kammapattha. Kammapattha 10. Kammapattha 10 containing of Tan, Seen, Kayakam 3, Vajikam 4, and Manokam 3. This is Kammapattha 10. Kammapattha 10 containing into two parts. The first one is Akusala Kammapattha 10, and the second part is Kusala Kammapattha 10. In order for Akusala Kammapattha 10 to happen, it need another part, which is Punya Kriya 10. So therefore, altogether, we call it Kammapattha 30. That is our body. The base of our body is based on Akusala Kammapattha 10. However, with the correct Sikkaya in the past, with the Buddha Kriya 10, that makes Kusala Kammapattha 10 happen, and Kusala Kammapattha 10 control some part of Akusala Kammapattha 10. That's why we become human. Otherwise, without part of Kusala Kammapattha 10, if we come purely for Kusala Kammapattha 10, that would be the body of the animals. Okay, and then when we look through our five senses, we will see our body, trees, buildings, fruits, our food. These are the coverage of Suttanta as we explained today. And if you look through your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, you'll see your body, the environment, the buildings, fruits. But if you look through the teaching of Nuttara Samma Sambuddhi through the beginning to your body, you see your body become Kammapattha. And this is the first point to go back to Citta and Cetasika and Rupa that we explained today. So things that we cover today, we explain what happened ourselves. We start from ourselves, the environment, the food that we need to eat, the coverage of Suttanta, and then we map or we bring everything that happened to our level 0 back to level 100 through the relationship of this chart of Dhamma chart, and then we try to explain back when the interaction starts from the interaction of Citta, Cetasika, Rupa. What happened when they create and then send through this chart into your body, your environment, and the earth. And this is, in short, this is the explanation why the earth or the solar system or galaxies need to build according to our body. It need to build our body first, and then later on build the environment, build the planet, build the galaxies, build the multiple galaxies. However, with the five senses of normal people, if we look by using our eyes, we definitely assume that the earth need to come first and human later. And by using eyes incorrectly, within the eyes contains of rupa 54. And one of the group of rupa 54, the name is Citta Suttaka Kalapa 8. And that group represents the characteristics of Citta 107. And within that 107 contains Akusala Citta 12. When you use your eyes incorrectly, when you see things differently from the teaching of Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi, Akusala Citta 12, the characteristics of Akusala Citta 12 that stays with your eyes, receive this kind of information of you don't know the teaching of Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi, and then it's sent back to Kammasharupa. And that is the place when it reach Hatayawatu. That is the place where they create your next life, which becomes Abhayabhumi 4. Okay, in the summary in this class, we mentioned about the Dhamma chart, the relationship between Suttanta Dhamma and Abhidhamma, and also we explained how we become human and how five senses work and how Kusala and Akusala received through our eyes, ears, nose, tongue. If each part of our body, as simple as in Rupa Samudhatthana, that we could be relieved because our eyes will be only Jakku Pasarupas, our ears is Sota Pasarupa 1, our nose is Kana Pasarupa 1, our tongue is Jiva Pasarupa 1, and our body is Kaya Pasarupa 1. And those those Pasatrupa 5 contains Jetasik, only 7 Jetasik, which are Phasa Jetasika, Vedana Jetasika, Sanya Jetasika, Chetana Jetasika, Ekakata Jetasika, Shivita Jetasika, Manasika, Jetasika, which is quite relief because they don't have Ithaka Jetasika, don't have Jetasika that work with Akusala, and Kusala don't bring you to Abhayabhumi 4, and however, in the same time, they cannot bring you to Lokudra. However, in the real time, in more details, when Anuttara Samma Sambuddhi explained how your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body are expanded along the way, it's become Rupa 50, your Jakku becomes Jakku, Rupa 54, Sota 54, Kana 54, Shivha 54, and Gaya 44, and which in those number of rupa, it contains Citta Suttaka Kalapa 8. And within the Citta Suttaka Kalapa 8, they contains the characteristics of Citta 107. And that is why your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body can receive the information and then sent to Kamashrupa. And the main characteristics that we are using in our daily lives is the characteristics of Akusala Citta 12 that embedded within Citta Suttaka Kalapa 8, which also in your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body. That's why our daily activities without Sikaya will definitely leads us to Abhayabhumi 4. That will be end of the class today. Do you have any more questions? Do you have any questions? Please feel free to ask. Okay. If there is no question, that would be end of the class. โอเคครับ สาธุครับ สาธุ สาธุ สาธุ
สาธุ
นวติโอ
น
ปั
ว
ต
ติ
ติ
ปา
ปั
นิ
จจานุโม
นะ
ท
อนุโมทามิมาwe have a year or not
อ่า
oh yes we have a year we
อ่ะ
go
น
to
มัสการ
respect
ไอ
our a year นมัส
น
กา
มั
ร
ส
a
การไอ
year
นมัสการไอ
นมัสการ a year นมัสการ a year สาธุ สาธุ
สา
สา
ธุ
ธุ
สาธุ นาวุ
น
ติ
วุติ
ปัต
ปา
ติ
นิ
ปั
ทิ
ญ
พั
จาน
ทะ
โม
อนุ
ทา
โมทา
มิ
มิ